Hi, this is Odd Marshall. I was making my Toronto Mike debut. Here talking about my second album, which just came out, called Seconds.
What up, Mike?
I was trying to anticipate if you were done. I'm like, well, he paused.
Yeah.
Because once I start that theme,
Well done.
Because you threw me. You said I'm on Toronto Mike. You did that early. And I thought you'd close with that. So I'm like, I got to roll with this guy. Welcome to episode 1885 of Toronto Mike, 1885, an award-winning podcast. 1885, that's 100 years before the drive of 85. It's an award-winning podcast, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery. Order online at greatlakesbeer.com for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Visit palmapasta.com for more. Fusion Corp's own Nick Iones. He's the host of Building Toronto Skyline and Mike and Nick, two podcasts that you ought to listen to. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, making his Toronto Mike debut, it is indeed Odd Marshall. Odd, I asked you earlier, I just called you Odd. I asked you earlier, what do I call you? You said call me Marshall. But do people call you Odd?
Sometimes. No, not really. It's just, people call me lots of things. It doesn't really matter to me, but...
I just wonder what it's like when somebody says, calls you Odd. Like, do you want to tell us maybe off the top, the origin story? How did you become Odd Marshall?
Yeah, well, I've been living up in this cabin. Got this cabin on a hill with 85 acres on the Saugeen River. It was my parents bought it in the 80s. My dad was going to probably retire up there, but he died he died the year he was supposed to retire.
Oh,
yeah,
that sucks.
And so,
sorry.
He with the pandemic, we all needed somewhere to go, and I went there, and I just noticed a change in my behavior whenever I would go into town. I think maybe a lot of us had a little too much isolation or whatever, and I just realized, wow, I'm turning into that weird hermit on the edge of town or whatever, in the middle in the forest. And
hey, were you writing any manifestos?
Yeah, I got lots of those.
Okay,
sure,
well,
yeah.
Who are you mailing? I need let me read those manifestos, man.
They're not too angry or anything. Yeah, sure. There's problems with the world, and we can get into those later. But yeah, sure. No, it's been great for productivity, but it definitely, you notice your human skills, your people skills,
your
really,
social skills.
Yeah, totally.
I even know, well, I was actually kind of lucky that I kept doing this, but they became remote. But even I started to feel like, I don't know how to have an in-person conversation anymore. Like I kept talking to my kids. They were like pretty young, like I don't know, 6 and 8 or whatever they were at the time. But you got to sharpen those skills.
Cut to a sponsor break in the middle of talking to your kids and things like that. Yeah.
Right. I offered my 6-year-old some Great Lakes beer.
That's great.
By the way, if you are thirsty for... This is the Sunnyside Session IPA from Great Lakes. So this is the summer drink of choice on Toronto Mike and beyond in this province. But if you crack it on the mic, just have a sip for me and tell me what you think, man. And then we're going to get into this whole living in a cabin. Oh, that might be the best crack I've heard on this podcast.
Yeah, that was juicy.
Again, I was almost going to call you Odd, but there's nothing odd about that. Let me know what you think. Sunnyside Session IPA. That's fresh, man.
Well, I know Great Lakes Brewery, so...
Okay, how do you know Great Lakes?
Well, they're everywhere.
Are they a drink of choice for you, Mr. Marshall?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm a little geographically ignorant, and you named the river, and you kind of said you're living in this cabin. Can you just dumb it down for me? Like, whereabouts is this cabin?
From Toronto, Orangeville is halfway.
Yeah.
So, 90 minutes to Orangeville, and then keep going another 90 minutes towards Bruce Peninsula, Tobermory, that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, okay, lovely. Now, you live alone in this cabin?
I do, yeah.
Okay, and what you make like bicycle rides to the local library or the nearest library? How do you live up there?
I was doing that. That was actually a big part of my life, kind of for a while. Now, it's I'm bouncing around breweries, it seems, most of the summers and that. But for the winter, it's the cabin itself is about 1 kilometer off the main road. So in the middle of the winter, it's a 45-minute snowshoe. I park at the neighbors and snowshoe back to the place. So it's in the winter, it's secluded. Once you're there and settled, it's fine. But if you don't feel like hiking 45 minutes with snowshoes and all that gear and all those layers, then if you got to be somewhere on time, that's the problem.
Well, I can imagine. Is there still snow up there?
No. It's all
long gone. Okay, here I
it's
am.
rain washing out the laneway.
Okay, and I guess I'm gathering this story because I do know at some point you almost die, man. Like you're in a car accident that almost kills you.
Well,
but I don't want to jump ahead. Like you're telling the story. So, is it during the pandemic you moved to this cabin? Your dad was going to move there, and sadly he passed away the year he was going to retire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're living up there, and are you writing music up there? I mean, you're a singer-songwriter. Are you working on your craft?
No, actually, not at all. I hadn't played my guitar in about 15 years, kind of thing. And I got in this car accident. I think you dramatized it a bit more. I don't know how.
Well, it said in my notes here, it said near fatal.
Well, I don't know.
Isn't that the definition of almost died?
Sure. Yeah.
Who wrote this? Jason Schneider?
I don't know how many. The game of telephone. I don't have. I went off the road and the car flipped. The truck flipped, and it was kind of a wintry road. And my GPS took me around a small town instead of through it, and the back end just slid out and I rolled into the ditch. And 10 feet further or 10 feet earlier, I would have hit a telephone pole. So if that's near, but anyway, rolled,
Print the legend, Mr. Marshall. Okay.
Right.
From now on, you were clinging to life.
Yeah,
your heartbeat, they were resuscitating you with paddles on the side of the road, but you got in this car accident that flipped your what were you driving at the time?
That was a Trailblazer. It was, crawled out the passenger window, rolling, it's all slow motion. Everything's, your coins and everything are floating through the air. And
wow,
you just, you have no control or whatever. Like once you're kind of tilting, you just, all is lost kind of thing. And
are you a religious man?
No, not at all. I wouldn't say. I was growing up, I, went to a church thing, but the watered down Jesus thing, but no, and so I don't think it was spiritual. I think what brought me back to music, though, in this whole incident was I was listening to a song came on the radio soon after, and do
you remember what song?
I don't, and I wish I could give proper credit because it was an important moment because I remember just kind of not playing along, but like air guitar. But I remember just kind of thinking, oh yeah, I used to do that, and then could almost feel a guitar in my hands, and then the next day I started playing again, and I started crying.
Well, listen, we're going to explore this. Okay, so you flip your truck. Listen, this is therapy. I'm going to send you an invoice at the end of this. Okay, therapy is not free. Okay, OHIP doesn't cover this.
Okay,
I want to make sure you know that off the top here. Okay, so you go, and I almost want to go back. So like you obviously said I used to do this. So then you took 15 years off. But what do you mean you used to do this? Were you in bands as a youngster, like 15 years before this car flips?
Well,
or you just loved music? Did you play?
Yeah, well, kind of. In high school, I kind of played guitar with the gang, and then I went to film school here in Toronto, and didn't even bring my guitar with me, so didn't even touch the guitar, and kind of gave up on that high school dream. And then I moved to England. Oh. I moved. My grandmother's from Liverpool, so I had the.
Nobody famous came from Liverpool.
Okay, here's a story. My grandmother's grandmother from Liverpool. Okay. Her last name is Lennon. I'm related to a guy named John Lennon, who recently retired. He owns a toy store in Blackpool, Liverpool, and he can't play guitar worth a. Anyway, who knows how many?
So you're related to a different John Lennon.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, I'm related to yeah.
You're related to a John Lennon, not a former Beatle John Lennon.
But I wonder though. There can't. I mean, I guess Lennon's a lot more popular name than we believe. But
I don't know. But you may be a descendant of John Lennon, which you should add to your bio. It's tell Jason.
I think the descendants are pretty well cataloged already. But
let's see now. Odd Marshall gave up his guitar, living in a cabin up in the middle of nowhere, flips his truck, clinging to life. here's a song. So how soon after the car accident do you hear the song? You don't know what song it was, but do you hear the song that reminded you, oh, I used to do this? How long after the car accident?
Well, it was that night, you know, it was, we were in the service station where everything kind of gets towed and the police are talking to you and all that. And I was just sitting there waiting and kind of still full of adrenaline. And I want to say it was Elton John. I love his Tumbleweed Connection album. But I don't think that would have been on the radio for some reason. So I can't think.
Do you remember what station? Not that I know the stations.
Well, it would have been a classic rock regional thing, right? So yeah.
What is the regional classic rock station up there?
Well, where I am, it's Rock the Bruce, I think. Shout out Rock the Bruce. They've played a few of my songs, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that was down near Wingham.
Okay.
Anyway, that was. Yeah, a lot of things had to go wrong that day. I was heading to Waterloo, but I was leaving from a different destination and went down different roads, and the GPS took me down this wrong road, and Gilmore Road. I think it was Gilmore Lane or something like that.
Shout out to Doug Gilmore.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get...
I was thinking David Gilmore. Okay, Doug Gilmore too, I guess. Yeah.
Or Gilmore from Triumph.
Okay, there we go, yeah.
We could have fun with this all day. All right, so you're living in the cabin. Are you working?
Yeah, well, I just help. Ever since the pandemic, I've kind of just been helping people in the neighborhood with their Airbnbs and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's very, I can do most of it on my phone, and I can be kind of flexible, and it's allowed for me to get back into music, which is kind of the main thing. Is you do need time to sit there and wait for your guitar to speak to you, and that is kind of this new life of up there is kind of allowed for that. You know, I'm not living fancy by any means, but
well, it actually sounds amazing. So, do you have any kids?
I have no kids.
See, it sounds amazing that you can have this life in this cabin up in the up north, and you can focus. You've rediscovered your love of creating music.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you're here because Seconds, which is the follow-up to your debut. So can we go back, though, and talk about the debut for a moment, and then we'll spend some time with Seconds? Okay, so you craft Sand and Glue in 2024, so only a couple of years ago. But I was reading up on you, Odd Marshall, and I'm going to play a song from Sand and Glue, and we got to talk about the production and creation of this album, Sand and Glue. But it's very cryptic. Okay, I'm going to read it as it was written. Again, it might be Jason Schneider. He's a great writer. Okay, and I know you're working with Jason, who's a good FOTM. You're now an FOTM, Odd Marshall. I'm his friend of Toronto Mike. How's that beer, by the way?
I love it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to send you home with more craft beer.
All right. GLB. Thanks, GLB.
Thank you to GLB. And I want to let you know that GLB pairs very well with Palma pasta. I have a lasagna for you to bring with you as well. It's upstairs in my freezer, but you're going home with a Palma pasta lasagna and that fresh craft beer.
Okay. Victory.
All right. Here's what's written in your bio. You ready?
Okay.
Odd Marshall was turned down by a prominent Canadian producer. This is for the 2024 debut Sand and Glue. So in a moment, we'll talk about who ended up producing it. But
that's not all true already. I don't want to interrupt. Should I?
No, you're the truth teller, man. No, honestly, because I'm working on this one-man show. I'm going to do it the El Macombo.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to do it on May 21st. And tickets are available now. And everybody listening, including you, Jason, everybody listening should go to torontomike.com and click Elmo Gig at the top and buy a couple of tickets.
What's the date for that?
It's May 21. I believe it's a Thursday night, but it's definitely May 21. I got Rob Pruce on stage with me. He's like my Paul Schaefer. But I'm crafting, and part of it, as I'm crafting it, it's this whole idea, print the legend, okay? Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever saw The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Did you ever see that film?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so, that's kind of where this comes from, print the legend, this is the West. We print the legend around here. I'm sick of printing the legend. The legend that's printed here is that you were turned down by a prominent Canadian producer. Is that true or not, Odd Marshall?
It's partially true. It's the Sand and Glue. This was after Sand and Glue. There is a story for Sand and Glue. How about I'll tell you that story, and then we'll walk into that one.
Okay.
Okay, so it starts about 15 years prior, before actually, I think I was on my way to England, and I met a Canadian musician on the flight, just sitting beside him, named B.D. Harrington. Folks, check out B.D. Harrington if you can. He's also a painter and that. He's from Toronto, but he lives in London. We were just chatting, and he had said that he had just recorded his album with producer Don Kerr out on Toronto Island. You know, they used to have gas station sessions, him and Dale Morningstar.
I was chatting with a guy about Dale Morningstar yesterday and possibly recording at this very Toronto Island studio.
Yeah.
This summer.
Well, I highly recommend it. I went in January, so it was very different. But sorry, this was 15 years prior. Right. And kind of when moving to England, I started writing the songs, got back into music after the film school stuff, started writing songs for the first time, and then did some EPs that never went anywhere. MySpace didn't really work out. And then 10 years go by, I'm not writing, have this car accident, and I reach out. Don Kerr is in the back of my head for the last decade and a half because of B.D. Harrington's album.
Right.
And I say, hey, Don, here's my, I wrote an essay in this email saying, if you don't mind, I'm just getting back into it, and here's some demos. And he said, and Don is like legendary in the Canadian indie scene.
Rio Statics, and there's a whole bunch of he's Don Kerr credits. Sure.
He, Ron Sexsmith,
of course.
He plays with Bahamas and Dan Mangan and his own band Communism. And so I reached out to Don and just with these demos, and he said, yeah, man, if you can hang on till January. So January 2024, we spent about 2 or 3 weeks there and recorded that. Released it in December 24.
Can I play something from that before we advance beyond Sand and Glue?
Absolutely.
So, and I got to say, you got a guy named Odd Marshall coming over, and then you're like, I'm not sure who Odd Marshall is, but I'm going to listen to his stuff. I straight up legit love your stuff. Like, I want the listenership to hear it now.
Okay.
And by the way, I'll tell the listenership, you brought your guitar. So maybe later we get something from Seconds.
Just doing what I was told. I wasn't sure if
I love it because I was like, oh, you don't need the guitar, but I'm not going to say no if a talented musician is going to play live in the TMDS basement. I'm not going to turn that down. Gino Vanelli did it.
Okay.
So, I mean, if Gino can do it, Odd Marshall can do it, right? Okay, so here is something I pulled because I quite like it. From the first Odd Marshall album, Sand and Glue, produced by Don Kerr, who I got to get on Toronto Mic.
I'm in love with the sweetest sunshine. I love what it does to you. I'm in love with your big blue eyes. I love the way that you move. What you doing for next midsummer? Come on, we can go together. Stockholm, take the ferry to Visby. Stop pretending like you don't want to kiss me. Oh, midsummer. Oh, midsummer. This could be too good to be true. Could be too good to be true.
Mr. Marshall, as you listen to Midsummer in your headphones right now, what are you thinking?
Well, it's very different than a lot of the other songs that I've written. Shout out to the players on that. That's Mike O'Brien on guitar, Don Kerr on drums, Don Kerr produced and mixed, Jason Haberman on bass, Carlin Nicholson doing backup vocals and keys, guys from Zeus, Mike O'Brien, and who goes by Mecco Brain. Lots of plugs here. Check out everybody.
I like it, man. Name check everybody and anybody.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just actually... The lyric in that song, Stockholm, take the ferry to Visby. I spent a winter, New Year's, kind of that Christmas break. I was living in London and decided to take a winter break in Stockholm. Sorry, not Stockholm, in Sweden, in a small town called Karlstad with about 4 hours of sunlight. And I kept seeing these advertisements for the midsummer festival here in January. And the song is just a complete fabrication of sunny sunshine midsummer festival written in the middle of January. And just now, before I came in here, I've booked, accepted into like a songwriting workshop in outside of Stockholm this summer. So I'm gonna go there a few days early and take this ferry to Visby and see what the fuss is all about for this midsummer festival.
And you're drinking a Sunnyside Session IPA.
Yeah, good. Great Lakes Brewery, Sunnyside. Yeah, they should use this song for a commercial, don't you think?
Honestly, well, I know the people to talk to. Are you kidding me? Shout out to Great Lakes.
This is the only song I ever wrote with "la la la" in the lyrics.
I was gonna say it's okay. So we are gonna hear. Obviously, we'll hear music from the new album. So you were on your way to. You were blowing by Sand and Glue, first album.
So Sand and Glue, it was. Actually, I'll tell a little bit of a story. Right before this, I had made a short film, and I went to film school, so I'm kind of in two spheres. Been pursuing that career, written a lot of screenplays and stuff like that, and the struggle is always to get these projects made. And there's something about the film. It's like what your idea is on the page is how do I do this on a podcast? But let's say 100% is script perfectly in your head, and you get to shoot about what can you afford about 80%. What do you have time for about 60%? What do you end up with is about 40%, and then what you edit, it turns down to this, it was such a diminishing returns every step of the way, it felt like. And then a little while later, I made this album, and it was the exact opposite. I come in with my basic song structure, and then you add the drums, the bass, and it just, these talented musicians just bring it to life in ways that exceed your expectations. So it was almost the exact opposite experience, and that's kind of directed the last 3 years of my life is, these, the music just seems to be, I don't know.
Because you've been living in a cabin by yourself. You forgot how to speak. I understand.
Yeah. So I'm stumbling over my words, but yeah, that's true though. Okay, so the next.
But you have to have just to
go ahead.
Jump on what you said there. You still need. You can talk about the beer, but you still need the songs. Like the songs are the songs. You're writing the songs,
sure.
And then talented musicians come on board and the production and everything, and you end up with that.
Yeah, and that song I wrote before the 10-year hiatus kind of thing. I wrote that weekend in that week or whatever in Sweden, and recorded it on an EP previously in London. That I didn't really know what I was doing. It was my first time in a studio. There was some horns on that, so someday there'll be a rarities versions, alternate versions album. But so when that was done, I reached into this, all these songs I'd written in this kind of past life, and reached out to a Canadian producer, and I wasn't rejected by.
Okay, so this is where you get turned down by a prominent Canadian producer. So you don't name this producer. Can you give me a clue?
No, it wasn't quite turned down. It was just sort of like, yeah, great. Let's be talking with the manager and trying to get it going, and it didn't work out. People got busy, and I was kind of anxious to do something that winter, and so I had these songs which were a little more aggressive rock songs,
right?
Which I've got folders on my computer essentially, which are just, well, what project does that song belong in? Like this La 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 song kind of worked on that album, but these other songs, I had these kind of 4 aggressive songs that I would put into this album.
Seconds.
It's the new one, which was just going to be a short project, an EP. And that, when that project kind of fell through, I just kind of asked myself, who else did I like when I was 14? And the obvious answer was Blind Melon. Yeah. So a lot of people in 93, 94, they've got 2 incredible albums that...
Tones of Home. Yeah, all this good stuff from Blind Melon.
Absolutely. Yeah. They've got the albums are so great, each of them, and they're so very different, which I really admire that. That's really... so I, got on, kind of look, okay, well, who produced these albums? Maybe I should talk to that person. And one of the producers had died, and one of the other producers had only... it was mainly a mixer, hadn't really done a lot of producing. So I kind of thought, I looked at a lot of the videos, and Christopher Thorne is the one guy. He's playing the mandolin, he's playing the piano, he's playing all these things. And I'm like, okay, well, that guy must have a pretty important say in what's going on. So I just Googled him, found him on Facebook, Instagram, and hit him up with like 5 messages after a cup of coffee. It's, trying not to sound like too much but I... he opened the studio in Joshua Tree. And I mean, since Blind Melon, he's been in the Afghan Wigs, and he's worked with Danny Clinch a lot, who's a photographer, but also a musician. And Blind Melon is still active as well, too. So, but I couldn't believe it. I sent him some demos for this new project, and within an hour we were on the phone, and I was, couldn't believe it. I was like, I think I said to him, so who's responsible for my 2 favorite albums? And we kind of worked it out, and we, I think he mentioned it. So yeah, well, maybe we should get Rogers out. Rogers Stevens is the other guitarist, and the two of them are just this incredible tandem. Shannon Hoon, of course, is the voice we all know, but to me, as a aspiring guitarist in my high school, their riffs and all the little phrases between in the songs were the kind of the most memorable parts to me. So,
sure.
When that happened, and we turned to the EP, I kind of reached in and I found a few new songs, and kind of came out that kind of fit that bill, and so I went down with 8 songs, and I got denied at the border, and that's a whole nother story. That's going to be
because you told the truth.
Well, they sent me back. That never happened before, where they turn you away at the border, and he sent me, here's a checklist of things you got to bring back tomorrow or next time, and it was like, they were worried. I guess us Canadian actors and musicians have a bad reputation crossing the border. So,
but here, because I just talked to Ron Hawkins from Lowest to the Low about this late last week, and because he's not playing Buffalo, where the Low are very popular in Buffalo, thanks to CFNY 102.1, and they're not crossing the border, and part of it is because they don't like the current regime, and they don't want to support the current regime. But another part of it is, he says, it's very unfair for Canadian musicians who want to play the States. Like, the American musicians can go up across the border and just play at the Horseshoe Tavern or whatever, willy-nilly. But for a Canadian musician to play in United States, there's like visa things, you have paperwork that you need, typically need help with, and there's expensive, it costs you money. Like, it's a whole rigmarole, okay? But you weren't going to play in the States. You were literally crossing the border to be produced and mixed by Blind Melon guitarists Rogers Stevens and Christopher Thorne, and they still sent you home.
Yeah. Just to clarify, Christopher Thorne was the producer. Rogers and Christopher were the guitarists.
Gotcha.
Crossing the border was. I can kind of make sense of it. There's a lot of.
But you're not taking a job from an American.
No, that's true, and I had to specify all that. And
you're being too kind. This is bullshit.
Yeah, in my own stupidity. I've crossed the border so many times. We get kind of used to that, kind of growing up, going to see a hockey game in Buffalo or whatever. And I just went kind of without enough documentation. I hadn't yet booked my Airbnb or anything like that. I had.
They didn't believe you.
Yeah, I just foolishly, didn't have enough information, and that was just my own stupidity. So, the next day I went and booked an Airbnb. I said things like, I might go to LA kind of thing. And funny, the guy at the border thought I was flying into Palm Springs, California, but he thought I was flying into Palm Springs, Florida, and was going to drive to California. I might go to California, and I had to clarify that. But anyway, I had to go home.
They weren't convinced you were coming home.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. They am I going to resort to crime? I looked like this, unshaven, and so anyway, I went home and shaved my face and, got myself dressed up for the next, to try not to look like,
Jeez.
But the documentation I had to come through, and I asked the lawyers, like, is what I'm doing actually allowed? And they were totally, yeah, absolutely. So, so 2 days later, I flew down, and we were recording the next day. So it was like 8 songs in 4 days, and it was a lot. And it was like, I'd never been to the desert before, Joshua Tree, and it was kind of like being on the moon. So I hold those kind of 2 weeks are like separate from the rest of my life, because as soon as you come back from something like that, I was snowshoeing to leave my house, to get to the airport, to get to the flight to the desert, and you come back and you're back in the snow, and you're like, what the hell just happened? Where was I? And
it must be a mind blow that you're in a studio with the guys from Blind Melon, a band you love.
Yeah.
I've long been saying Soup got a raw deal.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's one of my favorites. I mean, it's absolutely.
Yeah, it's Soup. I actually prefer Soup, But in the zeitgeist, it's like, oh, what a letdown, because it didn't have no rain on it. Like, it didn't have that monster hit. It was like Drag My Feet Across the Floor and Galaxy and all that stuff. But I think Soup is a cool album.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, Christopher and Rogers, they had stories for they were kind of reconnecting as well during the whole time. So it was a lot of me just kind of listening to stories.
Who is the lead singer of Blind Melon today?
Travis Warren is the name.
Do you want that job?
No. And I should clarify. Yes, I was working with these guys, but my album is not like anything like Blind Melon. People who.
Oh, can I play a song?
People are gonna let me just say that people are gonna say, "Oh, it's nothing like Blind. It's not as good as Blind Melon." And so I can't win in this situation. Yeah, it was fun to kind of, but. It's not. I'm not Shannon Hoon by any means. These songs are.
He was buddies with Axl Rose,
That's right. His sister went to high school with him or something like that.
And on the rooftop of the "Don't Cry" video, Shannon's doing backups.
Okay, I remember. Hearing that. He was a character, and I am not the ball of charisma that he is. I think so. He's It sounds like he was quite the character. He was. Christopher said he was the best apologizer, so he could take you through an adventure one night and then apologize the next morning. And the people in Vancouver might know that. I can't remember if you
I
remember
believe
that.
He was. I do remember that he took a whiz. I think something like Indecent Exposure or something. Like that. I'm remembering now my Shannon Hoon history. Gone too soon. 28, I believe.
Yeah.
And gone far too soon. And I liked him too, and I liked that band as well. And I think that's rad that you got to kind of record with your heroes here. But I feel like to give people a taste of what Seconds sounds like, I got to play a song.
Okay.
And then we'll get back to it. Here we go.
I know.
There's no B-girl in the video, right?
Negative. Not yet.
But there ain't nothing that I can do. Say it's gotta be real, it's just something I feel. I'm nothing that you can steal. Maybe one more time, girl, read my mind. These memories are mine. It's gonna get ugly when that's the way it's gotta be. I made up my mind, I got nothing stopping me. One more day, you'll feel like another year. Gotta get lost, gotta get out of here.
Yeah. I can hear the desert in this song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
I hear it.
Yeah, desert rock, sure.
Jeez. So tell me a bit about Outta Here.
Yeah, right. So I'm listening to these lyrics, and these are juvenile lyrics. I wrote this song. It was probably one of the first riffs I wrote in high school while I was listening to Blind Melon.
Yeah.
So, and I never wrote the lyrics a few years later, but it's like, wanting to leave a small town, all this angsty teenager stuff. But it's, I live in a small town now, so, I love all that stuff. But it was a very angsty teenager thing at the time. And to record that, 20 years later with these guys, it's pretty surreal. And, these guys are pretty down to earth. Like, it's not, they made me feel really at home, and they served the songs and all that. But I'll admit, as soon as we did start laying down for we recorded live kind of in the room, and as soon as those guitars came in, I kind of had to stop and do another take kind of thing, because it was cool I'm not really that. I'm not a studio musician, let's say that, but some of these guys that can just jump on a song immediately and own it is incredible to see, regardless of whether or not you grew up with them or whatever. So, but yeah, it's just a song, angsty. It can be a divorce song. It can be I'm a moving on song or whatever, however you want to sell it. It's
I'm out of here.
Yeah, I keep saying that. It's weird how that I think I've lived in different cities for almost 6 months. Every 6 months it seems I'm somewhere else. But
where did you live before the cabin?
Well, from England, I went to a bit of India. I was directing some TV commercials in Bollywood, India, in Mumbai.
Mind blow.
You're right. That's most of my stories from London, and kind of. I worked at this oyster bar in London, England, with Elton John came in on my day off, and the customers that would come through there for just kind of. It really exposed the world to me. And London is, the busiest intersection in the world, 5 international airports, and just shucking oysters and serving champagne. We had the largest white-collar criminal in U.S. history came through, and the lead singer of The Darkness, remember him? Remember The Darkness?
I Believe in a Thing Called Love.
Oh, he's a big influencer now, and he came in. They had just, I remember he was so nervous for some reason, but the guy he was with gave him a credit card, and Justin gave the credit card to me, kind of thing, and it was kind of a. But no, that was a very, that living in London in general really kind of exposed the world to me, and I worked in a call center for 2 weeks and saved up $1,500 for the ticket and moved to England with kind of no plan, and the first job I got was serving oysters and champagne and so, sorry, Bollywood.
But this,
Bollywood,
Bollywood. But this notorious white collar criminal, was this Mark Rich?
It was, yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I'm taking notes here, man. I'm taking notes here.
He was famously pardoned. He was sentenced like 230 years in prison for tax evasion, and was controversially pardoned by Bill Clinton on his last day in office. And him and his daughter came in one day, Daniela. Hello, Daniela, if you're out there. And we kind of got along. It was kind of weird kind of getting along. I didn't know who he was, but he paid with his Black American Express card that was well worn. It was the first Black American Express card I'd ever seen.
Wow.
And it was well worn. I went home and Googled his name, and it was Mark Rich, and top 10 FBI most wanted kind of thing.
Jeez.
And kind of left the States lived in Switzerland for a number of years. In exile.
Right.
And but yeah, so that but also I met one of the other customers I met was this Bollywood producer, and I said, oh wow, I just went to film school, and I got his email and all that, and that was kind of I got a stack of business cards from just shooting the shit with people at that oyster bar, and one of these I sent my demo reel to this Bollywood producer, and it kind of went away. You thought, okay, that's the end of that. I kind of followed up a couple times and never heard from him. And then all of a sudden I got a call, can you be in Mumbai on Monday? And I was like, yeah. And so I kind of quit my job and jumped on a plane to Mumbai, and there was like 100 people on set and barefoot crew, and you rent a light and it comes with 3 people. And it was for Appy Fizz and Grappo Fizz, 2 cool drinks to hang out with. And it was, I kind of felt like, okay, this film career that you came out of film school with, and with all these aspirations, and moved to London thinking I was going to get into commercial directing there, because it's kind of a big hub for the creative world, and music videos and commercials and that. But it never really happened. And then I also get this job, and I'm on my way to Mumbai, and it was fun. I kind of ticked that box of like, when all of a sudden, when these trips kind of come up suddenly or something like that, and all of a sudden you're in Mumbai, or all of a sudden you're in Joshua Tree or something like that, there's always a little moment where you're like, where the hell am I? It's like, it's still the same me.
Or not even it's more like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
I have that moment all the time, like, how did I get here?
Yeah, this is not my house. This is
not my beautiful life. And the days go by. Okay, you skipped the New York chapter of your life, right?
Oh no, that hasn't happened yet.
Oh yeah. Okay, we're walking through it. Okay, keep going here.
So I was offered to kind of go stay permanently in Mumbai, and at the same time I'd been accepted into a master's degree in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. At Carnegie Mellon University, they have an entertainment technology program, and I was, the struggling filmmaker, and this was kind of just as Oculus was kind of getting started, and I thought, okay, well, let's modernize this film degree, I'm already a big shot in Mumbai, so I better kind of get ready. I'm kidding, but more people have seen those commercials than will ever see anything else or hear any song I do.
Right.
A billion people, and actually, it's funny. Whenever I meet someone from India, I'll get talking to them. I speak a little Hindi, and I'll show them the videos I made, and they and they go, "Oh yeah, when I was a kid, that was really famous. that commercial was always on." So it's kind of funny to have had these commercials. I mean, there was a confusion that they were going to pay me, and I made $1,000 for 3 months' work, and I thought it was going to be pounds because I was living in England, but it was only. I was like, "Oh, that's a kind of cutting it in half, right?" But it was. I shouldn't even be talking about that because it was such a wonderful experience. Anyway.
Well, with the home of real talk, we need to know that you were not compensated fairly, but a good experience, and you get to, once you live a life, you can write songs about your lived experiences.
Yeah, there is a song that I wrote about the actress. It's called Rocket, which is on an earlier EP, and I may kind of record that again someday, but it'll be on that Rarities album I keep talking about.
Yeah, Lost Dogs or whatever you're going to call it. Shout out to Pearl Jam. Okay, so I'm going to do this because you brought a guitar, so I'm going to play one more song from Seconds, and then I have a couple more questions about Seconds. Before I press play, though, you won't name that first producer. So, like before Blind Melon.
I still hope to work with him someday.
Okay.
So the way he's.
But can you give me a clue? Like,
no, not at all.
What about after the recording? I want to know. And I'm not. We already established they didn't turn you down. They just maybe they were too busy at.
Yeah, it got too busy in that. So I don't. But the way it's been written, I've seen a couple times. I don't want to and dramatize.
It does appear like they just said no, and you said okay, screw it. Who else did I like? Oh yeah, Blind Melon. I'll let Blind Melon do it.
Yeah. So I don't want the wrong. No, it's already been. I don't want to.
Was it a Canadian band?
Yeah.
And a 90s band?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a guess. I'll tell you later. But let's play another song here by Odd Marshall from the album Seconds.
A radio version. This is a radio friendly.
The radio
version.
edit. Yeah. Oh, I need the uncensored version. Who's on keys that I hear there?
That's Rami Jaffe from Foo Fighters.
Wow.
There's a story there too. We had a keyboard player lined up, and he got kind of called away on tour kind of the week before, and Christopher had this idea, this is a guy I used to work with. Apparently when they were teenagers, they used to work in a shoe shop in LA when they just kind of both moved out there. And that guy grew up to be the keyboardist in Foo Fighters.
Wow.
Wallflowers and the keyboards. So, that was kind of, it wasn't in the room. We kind of just sent him the songs, and he was in Italy and recorded his, David Grohl, I guess, had just been kissing a girl he shouldn't have been. And so the band was on hiatus, and he had the free time.
Oh, I heard they did more than kiss.
Yeah. and so we had... So he was available. That kind of
suddenly they weren't busy.
Yeah.
And it all worked out for Odd Marshall.
Right. Yeah, but anyway, that song, if you don't mind, there's a bit of a story there.
Yeah.
The first line of the song is, when you kill a man, don't look him in the eye, his soul will haunt you every night. There was this dine and dash where somebody went and had dinner at this restaurant and then didn't want to pay, so punched out the owner of the restaurant and ran away, and the owner ended up dying. And I remember seeing the news, and the only thing there was this photo of this blurry security photo of this guy running away. And the way the whole town, was outraged, and these guys that had come and, committed murder. It was really kind of upsetting, more than it was upsetting. Anyway, so it's not just that. The song's a bit about that. You better run, mother. Sorry, am I allowed to?
No, you know what? I didn't realize I pulled the radio edit. I'm actually disappointed in myself because I like a good F-bomb.
All right. Well, yeah, you
tell
better
me
run.
What the real
you
lyrics
better run,
are.
motherfucker, run.
Much better.
Yeah. And it's I hate to say it, but there's so much, going on in the world. It's I can play 3 hours in a brewery and no one will listen until I start saying "run, motherfucker, run," and everyone starts singing along. So it's weird that that people are latching on to that kind of thing. But it's
but why is that? Is that because the world's on fire and it's we all need that vent?
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody's got a motherfucker in their life, and something you can't always do. You can't always respond or whatever. So so it's it's written about. It was written right before. That was one of the. It's funny you say "Out of Here" was the first song we played. That was written 20 years ago, and this one was written maybe 1 month before we recorded. So it was one of the new ones.
Okay.
But
and how do you describe? Is this like roots rock? Is that what we're hearing here? If you had to, I don't know if artists ever like putting their shit into like a bucket or whatever, but it's like a roots rocky thing.
Like the first album, I think Sand and Glue. I'd say that's folk rock. This one is more rocked. It's got a lot of guitars and
maybe a little more. I'm trying to think like CCR maybe.
Okay,
like a little like a.
People have said that. I don't hear it, but yeah, sure.
Maybe because when we hear "run," we say "run through the jungle."
Sure,
you hear a bit of a bit of vocal similarities there. But
I wish I had that.
He got sued for copying himself, John Fogerty. Because
no, that's a real tragic. Only recently has he kind of got back his ownership, I think, and that's a real. It's weird how the world's so twisted like that. Because that's incredible.
Yeah, it's like I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I sound like myself. Like you don't own my sound, man. Shout out to Neil Young.
He got sued for not sounding like Neil Young, didn't he? The opposite.
Neil. Yes, Neil Young. You're right. And you're 100% right. Sound more like Neil Young. It's like, well, I am Neil Young. That's my sound, man. Yeah, fascinating. Okay, so I know you got a guitar with you. And by the way, one last question I'm going to search for here, see if you have a story here. And then I'm going to thank a couple more partners. And then maybe you play something live, man, since you brought in the guitar. You don't have to play a Gino Vanelli song. You can play an Odd Marshall song. But if you break into Wild Horses, that'll be something else here. But so in what order? Let me do the shout-outs and then ask you for the story. And then you can... You know what? No. While you're getting the guitar, I'll do the shout-outs. So let me ask you, have you ever had a connection and interaction in your life with the mega star known as Ed Sheeran?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not sure where you got that one from, but yeah.
I did it. Listen, I do my homework, man. Okay. Shout out to Brian Linehan.
Cool. It's funny as you said Ed Sheeran, your phone went off. You said Ed Sheeran. And
I think it's Ed. Ed and I are buds. You want me to check?
Yeah. Like whenever you say his name, there has to be a little sound effect with it.
And an angel gets their wings every time you say the name Ed Sheeran.
That's funny you say that. That's usually the punchline of the story. But
Tom Wilson from Junkhouse put his back out. This is not your problem, but Tom, I'm a big Junkhouse fan.
Of course, yeah.
Tom Wilson, I love this guy. He visits periodically. He's scheduled to visit tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
And that's the beep you just heard. I'm looking at it now. Tom Wilson.
Yeah, we like
back out and laid up.
Yeah.
Not good, man. How's your back?
That was kind of I threw it out the first time in England, but I try to be better Anyway.
Well, listen, Tom's a bit older than you, so when his back goes out, but I'll let Tom's gonna. So the listenership loves the Tom Wilson.
We do, yeah.
There's a Tom Wilson art up there, But Tom will be
got
delayed, but Odd Marshall, we're still going strong here. I actually have 2 episodes tomorrow, and it's okay that Tom delays, actually. It's okay, everybody. Everybody, calm down. Your Toronto Mike, your award-winning podcast host, says, calm down, take a deep breath. We'll get Tom Wilson back when his back heals up. Love having that guy on the show. So I'll thank the partners while you get your guitar. And just remember, you're wearing headphones, and I don't want you to get tangled up. And remember, the ceiling is so fucking low. If you stand up, you'll be concussed. Okay, there he is. Odd Marshall's getting his guitar. And I'm going to say, if you have an old guitar, if you have old tech, I guess it'd be electric guitar. If you have old tech, if you have an old phone, if you have an old laptop, if you have old cables, don't throw it in the garbage. Those chemicals end up in our landfill. Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca, put in your postal code, and find out where you can drop it off to be properly recycled. This would probably even work if you live in a remote cabin. And like our guest today, Odd Marshall. So he's getting his guitar. One last thank you, Nick Iones. He'll be back Friday morning for a new episode of Building Toronto Skyline. And of course, Mike and Nick, where we go at each other, not at each other, where we respect each other, but we talk about what's going on. We talked about Mark Carney's majority. We talked about floor crossers. We talked about the Strait of Hormuz. I'm going to open up this mic too, in case you want to point that at the guitar. I don't know what makes sense, but so that mic is now open. Yeah, but you got to move this part. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. We're making this up on the fly here. That looks like it's going to work. Yeah, we're going to so you have 2 mics open for you. Ridley Funeral Home, shout out Ridley Funeral Home. They have a great podcast called Life's Undertaking with a new theme song produced by Rob Bruce. And I urge you to subscribe to Life's Undertaking. And Odd Marshall, I'm going to let you know after you're done this song, you will have earned a measuring tape from Ridley Funeral Home. You can bring that home with you along with your Great Lakes beer and your Palma Pasta lasagna.
To measure the corpses.
Yes, we got to know what size casket to order when you are at Ridley Funeral Home. Okay, Odd Marshall. I feel strange calling you Odd, Mr. Marshall. You feel good?
I think so.
I'm going to, you know what, can I take video here? I might take video. I am taking video, but I might take video through my phone here as well. So give me a second here. Love it when there's Oh, yeah. Okay, ready? Ready when you are, Odd Marshall.
Okay. Yeah, well, actually, as you say that, this is a song about the nonsense that we are on our phones. I'm all addicted to our phone and all that, so this is just sort of the random life of living on your phone. It's called lobotomy, I think. I need another week on this therapy and double rainbow with swift lobotomy. I got some feedback for the stranger's philosophy. Duplicate the moon and eliminate gravity. Let's kill a mosquito. Don't like the shape. I'm in the shirtless weirdo. Thinks I can win again. I need a friend to the very end. Oh, I need a Dave who only believes in me. Misery loves company. Misery loves company. Oh, I need answers for just about everything. Why the hell are you defending my enemies? Yes, I need to know your old family remedies. But what's it got to do with who killed the Kennedys? The bigger the war, the bigger the immunity. Just give me the doodah without all the yippity. We'll get our best minds to reinvent the Oreo. I'm covered in day glow. You ready? Away we go. Misery loves company. Oh, misery loves company. Oh, but I'm not alright. Oh, but I'm not alright. Till my face grows a little symmetry. 3 years ago when I admired your boots, I never expected to still remember you. Something borrowed, baby, something blue. It's something ugly getting over you. Well, the sad situation is it's only a fantasy, but last night was a riot. Allegedly misery loves company. Oh, misery loves company. Oh, I wasted my life on all of your calamities. That sultry Susan saved all the manatees. I got excuses, 100 or 2. Get to know me, babe, I got a few you can use. My lazy fortune teller's full of lies. She's spitting my palm as you read my eyes. My latest horoscope's a little optimistic. If the good luck has to knock, you've already missed it. Misery loves company. Oh, misery loves company. But I'm not alright. But I'm not alright.
Woo, Odd Marshall. Dude, that was amazing.
Cool. That's lobotomy.
What's it like to have a skill like that? What's it like to perform music like that? Wow. Hey, I would say I am glad you walked away from the car crash. And because you walked away from the crash, I think we can now say that was the best thing that ever happened to you.
Haha.
Right? Like, if you don't, I always wonder, like, you know, it's like that. What's that movie called? Sideways? It's like Sliding Doors, right. I think. Okay. But like, if you don't flip that truck, just move that out here. Mm-hmm. If you don't flip the truck, do you have the epiphany at some point when that song, whatever song came on the radio, then you're like, hey, I used to do that. I better start doing that again. It's just interesting to look back. Like, do you ever end up in a Joshua Tree studio with members of Blind Melon performing your art? Does that ever happen if you don't flip your truck?
I mean, that's the $1 million question, you know, with the forks in the road and that. I really don't know. And for how much I enjoy it now, and I used to hate playing live. I used to try to write really complex songs, and now, I mean, that song right there had 2 chords before the bridge. But you know, I don't know what. I'm a lot less precious about it, and I really enjoy interacting with the audience. Before I used to hate it and was too too precious about everything. But so for how much I love it now, it's really kind of funny that I stopped doing it for so long. But I mean, I was still expressing myself. You know, I was writing about my time in England and my time in China, and
right.
then
you were writing, you just didn't pick up a guitar for a while.
Yeah, and I think I've written a couple books that I can't seem to get published. I got the great review on one of them, and it got me an agent, and then the agent couldn't find a publisher, and the review is on the manuscript. But
right,
actually, you mentioned New York. I was driving an ice cream truck in New York to the to the 5 different boroughs, just kind of delivering ice cream. And the year before I lived in China, and I lived 2 very different lives. When I was in New York, I was living in an apartment with 7 other people. When I was in China, I was living as an expat where you can live quite well. And so 2 very different years. And then one day driving this ice cream truck, I saw this girl around Brooklyn 3 times, a young woman. And the 3rd time I saw her, she was crying at the bus stop. And I just asked her if she needed a ride. And I gave her a ride over into Manhattan. And right away, it was pretty clear that she was, homeless and unshowered and a little nervous or whatever. But I, just gave her this ride over, and that was kind of the end of it. And it kind of inspired this story about this guy who, is living this weird life in New York, and flashing back to his time in China and the love interest and how it all goes wrong. And
well, you got the art inside you. You got to get it out, right? And you're doing that. If it's hopefully you get those published at some point. You got your second album it's out now. Seconds.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, you could get Seconds. How would you like if a listener liked what they heard? And we heard 3 different songs from Seconds. I played 2 radio edits. My apologies, and then you played a song. So if somebody wants to get their mitts on this, how do you want them to do that?
wherever they want. You know,
Okay, I don't know. Like some people
start
are
with
like,
the
oh,
Google,
you know, Bandcamp is where I'd.
Oh,
rather.
sure. If somebody wants to buy the album on Bandcamp, that's great. You know, you don't get a lot of these just because there's so many free options these days, but it's available.
But that would put more money in the artist's pocket if they did it through Band. So I'm just looking out for you. And I think people who would like this kind of music, this fiercely independent music you're making, they might want to help the artist. They're not going to be assholes who are like, yeah, I'll stream it on Spotify and you can get nothing.
Well, I won't say no to anyone who wants to do that. So, but,
share the art.
But yeah, it is available kind of, you know, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, kind of all the options are there. And I'm super proud of it and super proud of both albums they've done. And
so what's next? So we got 2 great albums under your belt now.
I have recorded my 3rd album. I was in Los Angeles last month, and number 3 is recorded.
Is that going to be the name of the album, number 3?
I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
You called it Seconds.
Right.
Right?
Well, Seconds, I think that
Thirds is this new album, Thirds.
I think Seconds kind of came from, you know, the second helping is kind of like an abundance of, like, it was, I kind of felt...
Well, it means you're coming back for more. You're coming back for Seconds. You had a first album, and now this is the second album, so come back for Seconds. The 3rd album, you know, untitled, I suppose, and can't wait to hear it, man. Like, I think this was inspiring because I was trying to relate to it because I have no musical talent. Anyone who heard Mike's Basement Studio in the Toronto Mike feed can tell you that, which is not available on Spotify, by the way. So screw those guys. But I cycled like crazy as a teenager into my early 20s, and then for reasons I don't understand fully, I did not touch my bike for 15 years. And then all of a sudden in 2012, I started biking again. And I mean, I did 40K already today. I bike every day, yeah. I had to go see The House from Nirvana, the band, The Show.
Okay.
Have you ever seen Nirvana, the band, The Show?
Sure, yeah.
So The House, which is... I don't know if I should report, but it's like Shaw and Queen, basically. I wanted to go see it and take like a pilgrimage of sorts. But all this is to say, I don't know why I stopped for 15 years, and I bet you probably have a thought of like, why did I put down my guitar for over a decade?
I do, all the time. I don't know. I think I just was frustrated. You know, my space wasn't working out, and I just didn't know what to do with it. I was traveling around to different cities, so I didn't really have a community. I'm only kind of now getting to know Toronto and the Canadian industry here, so I'm still an outsider and kind of new to Canada again, almost, it feels like. So I don't know why I gave up. I don't know what I was expecting, and now my expectations are just to enjoy it. So
well, you're here now. Like, how did I get here? We had this chat earlier. Like, how did I get here? Well, you're here now, and you're making the most of it, and I can't wait to hear the 3rd album, and you're now in FOTM.
Right on.
Can't wait to get that picture with you by Toronto Tree. So, well, thanks for visiting, man. This was really cool for me.
Thanks, Mike. It's cool for me.
Hope your back's okay.
Yeah. All the best, Tom. Hope you're doing okay. Hang in there, buddy.
And that brings us to the end of our 1,885th show. 100 before the drive of 85. Look at that, 1885. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs and to buy Elmo Combo tickets. May 21, everybody, 2026. Just click the Elmo gig link at the top. Much love to all who made this possible. Again, that's Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, Nick Ienes, RecycleMyElectronics.ca, and Ridley Funeral Home. I'm really pissed at Spotify. I understand the rules, okay? If you have a podcast, but you're not allowed to play unlicensed music. I played your songs. Is that going to get me in trouble? We'll find out.
You got the radio edits.
Well, not that way. But if I had a little bit of a John Williams composition in the theme song for Life's Undertaking, and Spotify's having kittens over it. Like, give me a break. I got to call Lauren Honickman. I got to call Lauren right now, but I'm not sure if I have a leg to stand on unless somebody can get me in touch with John Williams. He's 100 years old, I think. But find me John Williams and let's strike a deal. See you all tomorrow. My guest was going to be Tom Wilson.
John Williams, the
Star Wars guy.
Okay.
Yeah, whose son is in Toto now. Fun fact for you. Okay, tomorrow, big episode, 10:30 a.m. Warren Kinsella. Warren Kinsella, author, lawyer, political strategist, worked with Chrétien and McGuinty, and of course, punker. I might spend all my time on that. Punker, Warren Kinsella. Toronto Mike debut tomorrow morning. That is going to be rad. See you all then.